So I'm going to have you speak at around 12:50, Tom. You're going to speak at around 12:50. Yeah. Uh-huh. You're going to be right after Ram Lee. Yeah, 5 minutes. Just so you can remind everybody what you do, etc. You don't need a slideshow for that. Yeah. Hi, folks. We're going to get started in around 5 or 10 minutes. So, just want to make sure everybody can hear me. Let me make sure that we're not muted. Oh, looks like we're not muted. So, hopefully, the people online can hear me. Um, so, I think in the elevator yesterday, we had some great conversations about the role of the dollar and where it's going. And I'm looking forward to the conversation with Georges Ujo in a few minutes, talk about the dollar and also what the role is of what I think most people are coming to know as the global South. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things play out the next few years. I think most people know I'm super positive on the United States because I think tariffs buy the US some time. I'm not super positive on rates and rate cuts unless they happen in a big way. And I don't see that happening because I think that there's too many people who are heavily indebted in the corporate space. So, or over leveraged. So, interest rate cuts are only going to allow people to retrench. It's not going to really lead to the speculative surge we had in the 2010s. But if you have a different opinion, feel free to notify me in the chat. And we also have our WhatsApp group we'll be viewing online. So we're lucky today to have Sammy Dwek is going to be speaking. So Sammy used to run J.P. Morgan Private Bank out of Palm Beach, that group there. And since leaving there, he has, really been a leader in the single family office space in Florida. He's on the investment committee of the European Family Office. And he runs the Saudi Miami Chamber of Commerce, which is an interchange of businesses between Saudi Arabia and Miami. Which reminds me, we're going to be in Miami for Art Basel. And we're typically hosted by the guy who was the ex-mayor of Miami Beach. So one of the funny stories he always tells me is that when they decided to do Art Basel and Miami Beach, there was a lot of debate about whether it would be good for the city, et cetera, et cetera. Not sure how many people have been to Art Basel in the past, but it's a lot of fun. Anyway, So he said basically the city council voted on it. It went through like several rounds, and finally, by a 4-3 decision, they decided to do Art Basel, which has become like a multi-billion-dollar enterprise and brings all kinds of revenue to Miami Beach and the city of Miami, because most people know that Art Basel is like a hub and spoke event where they have, the big Art Basel at the Miami Beach Convention Center, and then a gazillion other events happening in Miami, in Wynwood, in Brickell, etc. So it's really fantastic. And of course, we run our event there, and we've had fantastic presenters in the past, like Tim Draper, and many of the leading Florida family offices. So we're looking forward to being in Miami during Art Basel. Uh, and then also we have Gary Post. So I like to look at Gary Post. Gary Post is like the dean of Southern California Family Office Private Equity Investing. So he'll be speaking later on today. Gary is ex-Drexel. So, I don't like to refer to the Drexel alumni as like a Drexel mafia, but they really are a powerful group of alumni, one business, and uber successful, right? But so Gary's ex-Drexel. He's been running money for a family office for 10 to 20 years. He had a great deal on a SpaceX secondary maybe 10 or 12 years ago when SpaceX was valued at around 12 billion. I think SpaceX is valued at around 400 billion now. So you can do the math on what the return was. It's not multi-coin, which I missed. Fantastic. With a capital F. Um, so Gary Post and Sammy Dwek will actually be on the same panel at 1 o'clock with Michael Maglio Teddy. Oh my God. I'm known for assassinating names, so thank you so much for getting that one for me. And then, of course, we're going to talk about mergers and acquisitions, which is picking up. Wendy Federman, as I said, with 117 Tony Awards, will be speaking at a fireside chat around 11 o'clock, 11:30. And then we'll have Ram Lee from Seven Bridges Advisors, which is an OCIO, which advises on about $6 billion of allocations. He'll be speaking at noon. I was working on the schedule, and it looks like we may be finishing ahead of time or be on schedule. But how many people here think we'll actually be on schedule? Oh, okay, you know me. Okay, right. I went to a wedding in Miami once, and the time, it's two Hispanic people, and the time for the wedding to start was like 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and it's like this big cathedral on Four Gables, etc. And so I got there on time, and there's like 10 people in the church, and I was like, this is amazing. I must be this guy's best friend, right? Because there's only 10 people there. I'm one of 10 people invited, right? And the wedding doesn't start like around 3 o'clock. Maybe there's 20, 30 people. Finally, the wedding starts at 4:30, and there's like 500 people in the church. So I'm not that bad, but it's bad. So we had a guy who was a charter jet booking agent yesterday at dinner, and we have arranged that everybody's going to go to Nashville in a couple of weeks, and we're going to stay over at Richard Brand's house. The only agreement we have to do is we have to buy Richard Brand's CD of country music hits. No, seriously, if any of you get a chance to go to Nashville, I highly recommend the Country Music Hall of Fame Museum. It's amazing. Even if you're not into country music. We're going to get started in about 2 minutes. I'm going to need Peter Thurlow in 2 minutes. We've got a great venture capital panel. Peter's going to be on that. Louis Valdich from Vim Investors will be on it too, and Brian McMahon from Expert Dojo. I think Brian is also out of Southern California, but I could be wrong in that one. And he runs money for a family office as well. We had a great dinner party last night. And, if you ever come to our events, I highly recommend if you're online that you come to our dinner parties as well. We have our podcast, which has been getting fantastic reach. And I'm going to say that we have 3 or 4 episodes with more than 15,000 views. Probably Fred Nasm's, when you aggregate all the different views from his shorts, is probably over 20,000 at this point. But Fred's a special guy. When you take 70 companies public, 40 of them are unicorns. It works. Fantastic. So you ready, Pete? Oh, we're going to raise the fantastic, right? Let there fight or clouds. Bring it. Fantastic, great. All right, guys. So we're going to get started. We have a fantastic group of speakers today. We're going to run from right now to around 3:30 today, and I wanted to introduce our host, Peter Thoros, and tell us all about Polsinelli, his practice, what he does with family offices, and of course his specialty in working in defense or war, cyber, etc. So, Peter,